10 French players who have surprising origins you didn't know about. As a result of the fact that almost every player on their team is of mixed ethnicity, France is one of the teams that has benefited tremendously from immigration. Following their victory at the 2018 World Cup, a statistic that made the rounds was that 87% of the team was comprised of immigrants or children of immigrants. We were persuaded by this to investigate the current France team competing in the European Championships and discover the surprising backgrounds of the majority of the players. Number 10. Kylian Mbappe. To start, let's talk about Kylian Mbappe, who is the star of the show. His mother was from Algeria and his father was from Cameroon. Both of his parents wanted a better life for their kid, so they adopted him in Paris, France. This indicates that the Frenchman had the opportunity to choose from a variety of African nations to represent, and his mother even advocated for him to play for Algeria to represent the country. In the end, the Madrid guy decided to represent his nation of birth, and it is difficult to debate whether or not he made the proper option in this regard. It would be difficult to argue against them winning 2 World Cup finals in a row, one of which they won. He, on the other hand, has never forgotten where he came from and even recently flew to Cameroon in 2023, where he was greeted with a hero's welcome. Number 9. Aurelien Tchouameni. It just so happens that Aurelien Tchouameni is another footballer who happens to have Cameroonian ancestry. Even though he was born and raised in France, both of his parents are originally from the West African nation. The naturalization process that they went through allowed them to obtain French citizenship for him at the time of his birth, and ever since then, he has had his sights set on playing for the French squad. In the past, he has shown his fondness for the place of origin of his parents, stating that he has traveled to the country on numerous occasions, and that he visits the country to watch his parents' games alongside some of his teammates who are of similar descent. Despite this, he has always been aware of his desire to play for France, and he has now been able to realize that dream. Number 38. Eduardo Camavinga. The other member of his club squad, Camavinga, is likewise of African descent. However, he comes from a very diverse background as he was born in a refugee camp in Angola to a father and mother who had roots in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DR Congo. They had lived in DR Congo before the outbreak of the Civil War, which forced them to seek sanctuary in Angola. After Camavinga turned 2 years old, the family relocated to France, where they eventually established a permanent residence and began to build a life for themselves. Until the year 2019, he was a citizen of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DR Congo, but he was able to obtain French citizenship and, as a result, represent the country. It was in the year 2020 when he was only 17 years old when he was called up to the squad, and ever since then, he has become a regular presence. Number 7. Griezmann Antoine. Alternately, we have Antoine Griezmann, a guy who could have been delivering assists to Cristiano Ronaldo for Portugal. This player is located outside of Africa. He has been a huge fan favorite for the French for many years now, and many people believe him to be one of their best players ever, but the French owe Portugal a great deal of gratitude for his services. His mother is Portuguese and his father also had roots in Germany, albeit from a very long time ago. Even though he was born in France, his mother is Portuguese. As a consequence of this, he spent most of his time off from school in Portugal. Nonetheless, his heart was continuously in France. As a result, there was never even a contest to determine which nation he would represent, and you would have to agree that he most likely made the right decision. Number 6. Olivier Giroud. Olivier Giroud, who holds the record for most goals scored in the history of the club, is another icon. Even though his name is one of the most French names in the world, he has ties to Italy, which is another European nation. The reason for this is that both of his grandmothers are from that region, and he was qualified to receive a call-up. On the other hand, France was always going to emerge victorious in the competition for his services, and he has since gone on to become an absolute legend for them. On the other hand, he did at least fulfill some sort of Italian destiny by playing for AC Milan up until very recently. Number 5. Ousmane Dembele. The next player on our list of attackers is Ousmane Dembele, who had the opportunity to represent 3 different African nations. He opted to represent all 3 of them. It was in France that he was born to a mother who is of Mauritanian and Senegalese descent, and his father is of Mali origin. As a result of his parents' decision to relocate to France in search of a better life before he was born, he spent his childhood in the country. Consequently, the fact that he decided to represent Les Bleus did not come as a surprise to anyone. Nonetheless, this does not imply that he has forgotten where he came from. In 2018, he traveled back to Mauritania, the country in which his mother was born, and constructed a mosque there in her honor and in honor of the people of that country. Number 4. Saliba William. At the European Championships, France's defense has been the most impressive aspect of the team, and William Saliba has been one of the players that has stood out. To the point where many people now consider him to be one of the top center backs in the world, he has gradually begun to win over even his most ardent detractors. Considering that he was born and raised in France, attended the same school as Mbappe, and was even tutored by his father, it is reasonable to assume that he inherited part of the excellence that Mbappe possessed. His mother is of Cameroonian heritage, while his father is of Lebanese descent. His parents, on the other hand, are of mixed descent. We are confident that they would have been very proud of their kid, but unfortunately, they passed away before they were able to witness the wonderful player that their son became. To pay tribute to his mother, he traveled to Cameroon in 2023 and stayed there for a considerable length of time to reconnect with his roots. Third place, Jules Kounde. Jules Kounde, who's still a member of their defense, has been a reliable player for them at right back during this tournament. However, he hails from Benin, a rather small country in West Africa. Even though he was born in France, he has expressed his affection for the country of his parents. He has expressed his gratitude for having a mixed upbringing, which has resulted in him feeling a deep connection to both countries. In the past, he has traveled to Benin to pay a visit to multiple other members of his family who reside there, including his grandmother. Number 2, N'Golo Kante. N'Golo Kante is yet another player who has caught the attention of the media since getting called up to France for the European Championships. The player, who had previously played for Chelsea, moved away from Europe and brought his abilities to Saudi Arabia a few seasons ago. Many people believed that this was the final time he would be playing for the national team. Even though he is 33 years old, he not only made his comeback but also appears to have not lost a step at times. Those individuals were mistaken. In the early stages of his career, France came perilously near to missing out on him when Mali approached him intending to have him represent them. This was because both of his parents were born and raised in that region, making him eligible for the program. In the beginning, he declined them since he was still trying to establish himself in Ligue 1. Later on, he revealed that he was uncertain about which country he would represent until France called him up. That was his initial response. Even after the World Cup, we can't conclude that he wishes he had made a different choice. Number 1, Mike Maignan. To conclude this list, let's have a look at Mike Maignan, who has recently risen to the top spot. At the beginning of his career, the goalkeeper has been quoted as claiming that he was a fan of football and that he even shed tears whenever he watched it on television when he was younger. However, this did not prevent him from climbing the ranks and eventually becoming the best goalie in his country. He eventually became the number 1 choice. Additionally, he, like the other members of the squad, comes from a highly diverse background. Through the efforts of his mother, he was able to acquire French citizenship in the year 2001. He was born in Cayenne in French Guiana to a Haitian mother and a Guadeloupean father of Haitian descent. Even though he did not make his first appearance for his country's senior team until the year 2020, he will be expecting to achieve the same success as his predecessor, Loris, and lead his country to winning the World Cup. Enjoyed the breakdown? Hit that like button, subscribe for more game-changing content, and drop a comment below.